Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. Got to see a few of you yesterday at the Mystics press conference. Obviously, it's an exciting time we have for the youth movement with Monumental Basketball. Definitely want to say congrats to Jamila, congrats to Coach Sid, and all the young ladies that we welcomed to DC yesterday. Haven't got to spend too much time around them, but it's definitely an impressive group, and listening to them talk kind of inspired me in adding young players and continuing to do it the right way. So excited for them. Everybody in this room and those that couldn't make it today, I do also want to say that I appreciate the coverage that you guys gave us, especially through this type of season. Not the easiest to do, but you guys were very professional, and I hope that we were able to kind of reciprocate that for you guys as well. I think the stories that you guys allow to tell for the fans to get to know our players, it's really vital, and the way you guys go about it is important. And I know our players appreciate it, Michael appreciates it, and I do as well. So thank you guys for that. I'm grateful for kind of how you guys interacted with us this season, and look forward to it coming back even more. Varun, I saw that you posted you're not a rookie anymore. That's not the case. That's not the case. You're still a rookie until next season starts. So Alex and Bub and those guys, they're still rookies until they tip off next season. So close, but congrats on getting through all 82. Michael and I definitely also want to start by just thanking ownership, thanking our fans, thanking the staff, thanking the players, the people who were around every single day, for their commitment, for their belief and the hard work that they really put in. The 24-25 season, as you guys can imagine, was not the easiest to navigate, but I feel like we did so with great energy and great connectedness. While I'd say the season was far from linear, we finished off on a good note. And it wasn't just Bub hitting that shot, which was obviously awesome to see and great to hear the call from that one. It was pretty inspiring. But just the last 2.5+ months, kind of how we finished the season. So we felt like we wrapped up the year feeling a little bit more optimistic about the direction that we're still slowly trying to build towards, and we're slowly starting to climb. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the year, the season was meant to be one of exploration, and with that comes a lot of the unknowns. With that comes a lot of discomfort. With that comes a lot of the growing pains that you expect, and we felt a lot of those throughout the year, but I think unfortunately it actually started at the very beginning of the year in training camp, where we had a lot of injuries, and unfortunately we closed the season with a lot of injuries. So that kind of set us back a little bit and kind of threw us off. But through it all, we got to see more from different players. And that next man up mentality is something that I think our guys really rallied around. And those opportunities that they got early on, which probably weren't earned, more given, those opportunities allowed us to be in a better spot at the end of the season. And for us moving forward, we will always want to be playing our best basketball towards the end of the season. That's the goal for any team in the NBA, and I think we did that this year. So that's an accomplishment for us. To take it away from basketball, I'll get back to kind of on the floor a little bit later. The players came in here on Monday, answered some questions from you guys about what it's like to play here. From the answers I was able to read and the answers that they gave Michael and I in the exit interviews, I feel like we made some progress, and we made a lot of deposits into the culture, which is important to us. I think the number, I was talking to our PPE group, the players did close to 90 different community activations this year. If you include the staff, which didn't do all of them with the players, it was over 100. And that's really what we're talking about. So while we're not chipping away at the final score of each game to the level we want to do yet, we definitely made some positive strides into our environment and into the community and making cultural deposits. And that's something that's always going to be top of mind for us and something we're always going to continue. So we did all that by showing up, what we talked about, by being a little bit more competitive towards the end of the season, and then evolving how we play. And we talked about where we're at as an organization. It was very much still a continued cycle of discovery season for us. I think we were top 5 in age again this season. One of the top 5 youngest teams all season. Beginning of the year, opening night, I think we started our youngest opening night roster in Wizards history. We set the record for most starts in the history by players under 21 in a season. So it was obviously a very young group. The rookies that we drafted, that we had from the beginning of the season, a couple of them dealt with injuries, but all 3 of them still got over 1,800 minutes. And that's the first time a trio of rookies have gotten 1,800 minutes in over 20 years. So for us, we're pouring into the future. We're pouring into those young guys, and we expected it to be a little rocky. Being completely honest, we stumbled a really good amount out of the gate, but I do think we found a little bit more of a rhythm towards the end of the season. Stylistically, under Brian, it was the first year completely where he had the training camp to kind of do what he wanted to do. I thought he did a really good job of giving guys opportunity, let them play through mistakes, but also holding them accountable and making sure the environment every single day was one that was repeatable. And when you watch us on the court offensively, we continued to play with pace. I believe we were top 4. I think we finished 4th this year by the end of it in pace. That's top 5 pace 2 years in a row. There's only one team that was able to do that other than us in the last 2 years. So we've continued to play fast, even though adding different players. But what I was probably more impressed with is while we were playing fast, we changed our shot diet. And for us, that was important. I believe it was 34% of our shots this year were from 3, and that would put us top 10 in the NBA. Obviously, it's a huge help when you have Jordan Poole having the season that he had to help us make the most career threes individually, but as a team, we made them as well. I believe we put out a stat that we had 3 rookies make over 100 threes as well, which is the first time ever in NBA history. So the game's evolving. These players are growing. Our style's got to change. So while we played fast, we also took more efficient shots. But I think it all started by moving the ball, being less sticky. We all watched it the year before, and the ball wasn't moving enough. So we wanted to make sure we were doing that. Last season, we were 19th in total passes, and this year we were 7th. So the ball was moving, we were sharing it, we were still playing fast, and we were taking more threes. That's kind of where the game is going. And as we continue to develop and put some time in on the basketball court, hopefully those shots go in a little bit more. But we were finding and taking the right shots and playing the right way. But defensively, we will be known as a defensive team. We weren't good enough this year. Especially at the beginning of the year, we struggled mightily early. I think as guys, it's going to sound weird, but as guys got older throughout the year, they definitely got more comfortable playing, using their hands, not fouling as much, being in the right position, knowing what players can and can't do, learning players' tendencies. I think we made a few moves at the trade deadline to add some defensive-minded vets as well. And I think that's when you kind of saw the system that BK wants moving forward. And probably I'd say that February to mid-March, before we took that 13-day, 7-game road trip where we had a couple guys go down for the season, we were a top 15 or so defense in the NBA. So not where we want to be, but a lot closer to what we want it to look like. So for us, we saw some things on that end as well and made marginal improvements in specific areas we were looking to do as well. So we're getting closer. But again, I got to give a lot of credit to the guys. The environment when you walked in every day, we asked them for it to be a 0-0 mindset. Like no win, no loss, no losing streak, no win streak, whatever it is, we come in with the same mindset every day. And I think that's what allowed Jordan Poole to have the year that he had. I think it's what allowed Corey Kispert to have to grow and become the leader that he grew into. It allowed Justin Champagnie, who I'm so proud of, someone who completely bought into the system, who worked his behind off through the jump season, went through summer league, played with the Go-Go, really invested in that program. And quick shout out to Cody and the Go-Go in the season that they had. I thought they were tremendous this year until they took some injuries. Hopefully the awards are coming out here soon. I think later today, hopefully we'll have some guys on first team as well. I just thought that the Go-Go did a good job this year. But JC just embracing and immersing the player development system the way he did, establishing himself as an NBA player this season. I was very proud of him. But I can go on and on about our players. I think Bilal took some major steps defensively. Obviously, you guys know about the 4 rookies, and I'm pretty sure you'll ask questions about them, so I'll save that for later. But having that group and then adding high-level vets like Malcolm and Chris and Marcus, we're not supposed to have those kind of guys. when you're going through a rebuild like ours. Like, they were so helpful and impactful. So post-trade deadline, I think we started to see what Wizards basketball is going to be and what it's going to look like, and that was a positive sign. So around here, we talk about it all the time. We're going to acknowledge the growth. We are going to celebrate every small win. We're going to keep our head down and keep stacking days, keep working hard until we look up, see where we're at, put our head back down, and get back to work. You've heard it time and time again, but we realize we're still in that early phase of fighting for sustained success. Like, that's what we're trying to get here, our longevity, where when we enter into the playoffs, it's us there for a while, not in and out. And to do that, we got to build slowly and build the right way. And while we understand we're not close, we are closer. And that's the goal every single season. And I do feel like we laid some bricks to the foundation this year. And now that the season is officially over, we sat down with the guys, and my message was, from the time you guys all ran out on the court to go celebrate with Bub to the time we officially picked the ball up October 1st for training camp, there's 170 days. 170 days. There's 365 days in the year, so that's roughly 46% of the year that we're off. We can't be off. We have to turn that into time where players are getting better, teams getting better, everybody's taking a jump. And I kind of challenge them to be different players when they come back. Some will be coming back shortly. Others will be coming back closer to the end of the season. But I think to a man, everybody appreciated that and wants to take that challenge and improve physically, improve mentally, improve skillfully. And we all know the goal isn't to be sitting on our couches in April and May and June watching NBA basketball. So how are we going to chip away at that? And that starts with maximizing those 170 days we have. With that, if you guys got any questions, I'll open it up.
Morning, Will.
Morning, Chase.
You mentioned how this will be a defensive team, and you can see that some of the defensive pieces are there, the Bilals, the Keishans, the Alex Sarrs. So how will you guys end up sort of tying those pieces together?
Yeah. I just kind of smiled when you asked the question because you included Keyshawn in that. And I think some people, when we drafted Keyshawn, didn't see him having the impact that he could potentially have defensively, but he really embraced that and got better throughout the year. Obviously, Bilal and Alex think defense first, and the size, the length, the versatility, the ability to switch, it's kind of what we were looking for within our team. And again, we weren't where we needed to be defensively, but we have measures that we looked at. So you add the length, you add the switching, Keyshawn's block shots, Alex block shots. Last year we were 14th, this year we were 11th. So incremental gains there. But in terms of actual shot contests, we ranked 8th in the league. So we were forcing guys to take tough shots. And that's kind of what you're trying to do. I think last season, opponent 2-point field goal percentage, we were like 28th. This year we were 19th. That's a huge jump for us, especially with a young team. So we had a couple more young players. We get them a little bit more comfortable physical, like we're making that jump in the top half. So incrementally getting better on defense. And there's other things like rebounding. We were dead last year, moved up 5 spots. Like, we're going to continue to get better. But it's all about the focus and the mindset. And when we talked to the guys at the end of the season, they understood it, and they think defense first, which is important.
And going back to Keyshawn and his emergence as a defender, it wasn't just the defense, also the on-ball playmaking, especially in the second half. And those are some things that didn't really reveal themselves very obviously when he was at Miami. So can you talk us through sort of spotting that and then bringing it out once he got here?
Yeah, I think Keyshawn's evolution is a good story for young players. The way he started the season offensively, struggling. I think the first month of the season he was shooting like 12% from 3. But from February 1st on, it was 39% from 3. Never got discouraged, never doubted himself. I think I talked to you guys a couple times where it was like, hey, I thought he was going to be this offensive player. Like, don't rush the process. But he's got size. He's got versatility on offense. Defensively, his ranks were pretty impressive. Even when we sat down the other day, I was like, I didn't think you were going to be this level defender this early. And he just kind of laughed. But our evaluators were spot on early on him. They were, hey, you need to come see this guy. I was like, okay. Like, no, really, you need to come see this guy. Didn't play well. They're like, that's not who he is. Come back again. So we have really good, passionate evaluators who stayed on key, and we feel like we got pretty fortunate there. But defensively this year, effective field goal percentage, like the type of shots that the players take, 91st percentile across the NBA, not rookies. Like, that's high level. Blocks, 91st percentile. Like, deflections, 81st percentile. Like, the kid was very, very active, and steals a 75th percentile per position. So he was there. And you talked about the offensive stuff. I think the most telling stat or number we have for Keyshawn is he led all rookies in the NBA in on-off differential. So when he played, he has a positive impact on our team, even when he has the ball or doesn't have the ball, whatever the role was, and that was throughout the entire season. So we got to see that growth towards the end offensively, but he's one of the hardest workers, and I'm not surprised that he had the finish that he had.
Morning.
Good morning, D.A.
How do you think your organization is viewed by players around the league right now?
I couldn't tell you about players around the league because I don't have too many conversations with them. I definitely talk to my colleagues around the league, and I talk to our players about it. And even sometimes when you talk to Chris and Marcus, when you pick them up from the airport, when you make that trade, it's like, hey, what do you think of the Wizards? What do you know? Michael and I have only been here for 22 months, but the goal is to kind of rebrand, and when people see what the Wizards logo, like, it means something different. I know that a few players of other teams have commented on just like, you're not walking in Washington anymore and just, it is what it is. Like, we're going to compete, we're going to fight. It's still TBD, but I think we're moving in the right direction, and people see what we're trying to do, and it starts with the player care, and it starts with the type of players we have in the environment, and those guys get it. They're workers. They're about the right thing. So DMV, DC, like basketball city, one of the best places in the country to live. And now we're starting to add the similar type of hungry players. I hope we're trending in the right direction, but I couldn't answer that for you in terms of other people.
What do you think it will take to get this organization viewed as one of the best in class in the league going forward?
Yeah, I think it's about pouring into the people, pouring into the resources, and ownership is completely on board with that and have given Michael and I the opportunity to build it the right way. And I think it starts with the staffing and then the player care. And I think everything else will take care of itself. It's weird. The basketball part isn't easy, but it's easier to figure out because we're all basketball people. But figuring out how you run an organization and treat people the right way and treat the media the right way, and everybody has a good experience when they come to the basketball game, that's important. And when they're in the community and you have guys you can root for, that's important. So there's a lot of things outside of the wins and losses that kind of stack up to being a place where people want to be. And the facilities piece, thanks to 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡 and everything, like, that's changing. That's changing here, and that's really going to help us. But more so, it's the culture, the environment that's evolving, I would say.
Hey, Will. Marcus told us on Monday that he's working with Alex on developing his mentality. I'm curious how much you think Alex developing sort of a dog mentality could help his development, and how, and as a whole, what you thought of his development over the course of the last season.
Sure. First, can I talk about Marcus a little bit, if you don't mind? Because I don't think I can answer that question accurately if I don't talk about Marcus. When Marcus first got here, we talked about, hey, I'm very familiar with you. Like, I lived in Oklahoma when you were at Oklahoma State. I saw you a ton. I know what you're about. I still got family in Massachusetts that are huge Marcus Smarts fans just for how you play the game. And his time in Memphis wasn't what he thought it was going to be. Not his fault, not Memphis' fault. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And we told him, I want you to be you. I want you to kind of help yourself get back to being yourself and finding your joy. And I think he found that here. He told us that. And obviously he played really well, shot the ball really well, defended. But I said, we also need you to play the role of someone who can uplift people. And he made me better. He definitely elevated the staff and just how we scout and game plan. And he really helped all of our players. It's not just Alex and Bub and the young guys. He made Jordan better. Like, Jordan's looking to his right. I got Marcus Smart with me. Like, I can do a little bit more. So the impact he had on the organization in the short amount of time he was here, and even when he injured the finger again at the end of the season, he was bringing a lot of value inside the locker room and even in the timeouts. So for a defensive player like Marcus Smart, who is elite and has been elite for a long time, to see some defensive signs in Alex Sarr tells us a lot. So I don't know the term you called it, the dog, the fight. for a 19-year-old, I think we're all pretty impressed with the fight that Alex Sarr showed this season. Obviously, Marcus and a lot of people in the organization see where he can go, which is a pretty high level. So, of course, he's going to continue to talk to him and continue to work on those things. And trust me, we've had a lot of conversations with Alex Sarr about who he is, who he wants to be, and he wants to be great. And we're going to try to give him every resource to do that. And if you run his numbers, it was pretty impressive for the rookie campaign that he had. Because Alex, to me, is not just a defensive player. I think he's a defensive first player. It took him a little while to kind of establish himself on the offensive end, but he's an all-around player. And only rookie in the NBA to be top 5 in points, top 5 in blocks, top 5 in rebounds, and I'm pretty sure he was the number 1 big in assists. So the guy knows how to play and has an impact on both ends. We ran the numbers. One of 3 players with 100 assists, 100 blocks, 100 plus blocks. The list of rookies that have averaged like double-digit points and 1.5 blocks is pretty insane. Like it's a ridiculous list. And then when you make that list 12 points, 1.5 blocks, and 2 assists, it's pretty good company. I'm not going to tell you who's on it, but if you want to do the research, we showed them the names, and there's a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of Rookie of the Years, like high-level players. So Alex had a tremendous season. We love that people still want more for him because we know he can do it, but he's well on his way.
Looking ahead to the draft, there's still a lot to be determined, obviously, including the number of pick that you have. But what are your thoughts on overall the level of talent in the top echelon of draft prospects this season?
Yeah, I think it's a good draft. It's definitely not as international focused as it was last year. I think you'll see a little bit more American talent, but not every player is declared yet. We don't even know who's going to be in the draft, but in the event that most players that we think are going to be there, we're going to be happy to add another good young piece. But I'm trying to put a bow on this season first before I dive too heavy into the draft. But you guys know I like to draft, and we like to draft here, so we'll get to know those guys sooner or later.
How you doing, Will?
Good. How are you today?
Doing all right.
Like the hat.
Appreciate you, sir. Yes, sir. Jordan Poole, his emergence as a leader here in D.C. Is that what you envisioned when you acquired him from Golden State?
Yeah, we traded for Jordan for a reason, and we knew how talented he was. I would say the first half or first part of the season last year, like he struggled, and I think we're all on record talking about that. But the second half of the year, he started playing like Jordan Poole. And as he got more comfortable through the summer, you got to see the year that he had this year. So he really emerged on the basketball court. BK trusted him with the ball, gave him opportunities. I think everyone knows that he had the career year in terms of points per game. He had the career year in three-point percentage, but I don't think enough people talk about he had a career year with steals. Like, he had a career year in blocks. He had a career year in assists. Like, he impacted both sides of the ball and got better. And that was the kind of development plan for him. And you got to let Jordan be Jordan. And I think Brian did a good job of that. But inside the locker room, he kind of took a lot of ownership of the environment here and took some of the young guys under his wing. And again, Chris and Marcus, when they got here, really helped him and see the game. Like, those are championship level players, and he was one as well. So he felt good about the season he had, as he should feel good about the season he had. But Jordan Poole's a big time player. Like, we knew what we were getting with Jordan.
How does it make you feel when the fan base, the official motto is "Let Will Dawkins cook"?
I'm not on social media, so I don't follow it as much. But I would say the organization cooks, and led by Michael Winger, who I learn every single day under him. I'm so grateful to be under his guidance, and he puts us all in a position to do our job. And I have an embarrassment of riches around me. Like, it's a joke that I can go to Michael for anything and leadership and guidance, but also Travis Schlenk, who's done the job at a highest level, Troy Weaver, who just turned around a franchise, Amber Nichols, who was on the grind every single day. Like, most people don't have the assortment of talent that we have, just as evaluators, pure evaluators, but strategists and innovative thinkers. So the group is deep. And I think, DA, to kind of answer your question, like why you feel good about what you're doing, what you're changing, the people in the building, and how they think. And we've been in a lot of different places that have done well, and you can't replicate everything where you've been, but we take the different ideas, get in a room, and I'm happy that I'm very often not the smartest person in the room, so that we can learn and grow and get some stuff done. And I think that's what we do. We're a big community, so we're trying to let the Wizards cook, but we're not cooking enough yet.
Hey, Will, you talked about building slowly. I'm curious, with
Yeah.
the pick for next year being top 8 protected, how does that impact your approach for the offseason? Do you still consider yourself at that deconstruction phase that you said you were at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, the pick's been encumbered since we got here. I don't think it's affected how we want to go about things too much. The plan is to continue to grow through young players. If our young players make a massive jump and we go forward, we go forward. But in terms of the deconstruction, the foundation piece that I was talking about, building it back up and fortifying it, I'd say we're probably still in that little, is that a right angle? Is that what we do? That little corner, that deconstruction, build foundation, like we're still down here. We're still in the early phases of what we're trying to do. I think we found some players and laid some bricks that will allow us to continue to build that base, but I think we're still over here in this little corner.
What conversations have you had with ownership about the organizational timeline? Would they be okay with another season that looks like this last one with low wins and a focus on player development?
I think I wouldn't focus on wins and losses. Like, it's hard to predict what that is, but the ability to continue to steady grow, we haven't put a timeline on when we want to get there. We want to make sure we're providing the runway for guys to take off and play young players, and I think we did that this year, and we'll continue to do that next season. And you saw the young lineups. You'll see a few more next season for sure.
How you doing, Will?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Do you feel like you were kind of like ahead of the curve with a guy like A.J. Johnson? He didn't play too many NBA minutes before he got here, and then he had some huge games, obviously, recently. So what's it like to kind of evaluate guys' progress like that went sort of low to high?
Yeah, again, I got to give a shout out to the evaluating group. Johnny Rogers, Travis, the guys last year. You travel all the way to Australia and the guy doesn't play. But you go to shoot around, you go to practice, you get to see him in those environments, you get to see him play in high school events before that. So you know what you're looking at, and we knew how talented he was. And when we were trying to find opportunities for him, you don't know where that's going to come from. But I kind of view him, it's weird coming to Oklahoma, became a college football fan living there. So you know how like a high school quarterback graduates early and goes to campus and gets in the weight room, trains, and then you play him in the spring game. You're like, oh, there's something there. And then you get to September, you're like, it's really a freshman still. That's kind of how I view what AJ did. He's not going to be a rookie next year, but for us coming in, it was like, hey, let's take your time. We know you got this and that. Let's work on your body, these type of things. Play some minutes with the go-go. At the end of the season, we'll give you an opportunity. Injuries called, forced him into it a little earlier, and he wasn't afraid. He attacked it and showed his elite speed, elite athleticism, and also the ability to defend. He's going to be a two-way player. So for us, it was like, hey, you just got some extra varsity minutes here. Next year will be a complete through the Wizards jump season, our hands-on, complete buy-in development, and it'll be a more of a traditional rookie year for him. But for him to get those experience at the end of the season, we feel like he's headed in the right direction.
And what do you look for the most when you're adding young players, whether it's the draft or trade or what have you?
People first. It will always be people first. But we have our 94/50, the attributes we look for that we think will help us win. And a lot of those are pretty consistent.
Morning.
Morning.
You mentioned those midseason trades at the deadline, bringing in Marcus Smart, bringing in Chris Middleton, really helped energize the team.
Yeah.
Is that going to affect the way you guys approach this offseason when you're looking at, Chris Middleton's option, bringing back Malcolm Brogdon? Does that kind of midseason success affect the way you approach this offseason?
It's Chris's option, so he's going to inform us if he's going to be back. We definitely want him back. I would say it affects us in a positive way. I think we know a little bit more about what works, and we know a lot more about this group. And Michael, when he spoke to the group at the end of the season, was like, I couldn't be more proud of how we finished the season, all the guys in here. But there's 18 roster spots in the NBA, not 25. We're going to draft some players, and we got to make some roster decisions. And I just challenged the group on make the decision hard for us. Young guys, work, grind, be in the gym, and let us see your growth and make the decisions really, really hard for us. That's the goal. So, again, we will have a lot of time and a lot of opportunities to adjust the roster moving into the draft, free agency, and all that other stuff. But we're very pleased, and I feel like we have more answers because of those veteran players.
In a similar sense, you mentioned there's no firm timeline. You guys aren't looking at wins and losses as a goal. What does a successful offseason look like for you?
For us, one, getting away, getting a break, reconnecting with family. I'm not really saying that in jest. You really do need to decompress. It's a long season, so hopefully you guys get a break as well. Get away, get a break, and then really review what we did. we have a strategic plan. Let's go back. Did we follow it? Did we stick to it? What's the next phase? I don't think we're going to deviate from it, but like if we do deviate, when do we have a little bit more answers? So I think it's breathe for a little bit, revisit what we're trying to do, and then fully invest into it. So for us, we'll have some roster decisions, but it starts with player development. Unfortunately, this time of year last year, we had to hire a lot of new people, just staff, support staff, head coach, and we didn't really have the time to really stop, think, and just like review what we did. We have a great opportunity to do that this year because we've established a little bit more habits and we've established who we want to be. So not having to go hire a brand new staff, I'm looking forward to that. So let's decompress and figure out where we do moving forward. But free agency will have a lot of the similarities that we had last year in terms of how we approach that. And the draft, we will always be aggressive. But once we learn our picks, I think that'll allow us to kind of strategize even better.
Morning. Earlier you mentioned the growing pains at the beginning of the season, and you identify injuries as kind of one of those things. I was wondering what other growing pains you might have seen then, and how were those rectified across the season?
Yeah, I think the injury piece is hard to really predict. A lot of the injuries weren't because they weren't putting the time in the weight room. A lot of it was freak injury. I hit my thumb on someone's jersey. I went up for a dunk and someone fouled me. I shot a floater and landed on someone's ankle. So those were all basketball injuries. They weren't necessarily soft tissue injuries. So our players were doing the right things. They were in the weight room. Early to start, the connectivity wasn't there. The ball movement wasn't there. The defense wasn't there. And that was probably more frustrating to see. But we saw signs in between. I think I talked about at the beginning of the year, like you're going to see glimpses of what it's going to look like. But you can't expect players to be so young with such opportunities to be really efficient. I think we had 11 players under 22 play this season. Like that's the most in the NBA. And you can't expect your team to be perfect. You can't expect them to know what they're doing and give you a full 48. But we wanted to be as close to 48 minutes as we could. In the beginning of the season, we weren't doing that. And I think we set the record for most games started by players under 21 or under. 194 starts. So when you're going through that, you can expect those growing pains. And I think we saw it on how we wanted to play and the consistency of doing that this year, especially early on.
Thank you.
Hey, Will. The growth, obviously, you talk about the players and just getting healthy and all that kind of stuff, but also it was Brian's first year as a head coach. He's been in the league a long time, but what did you think he learned, and what did you learn about him in year one as a head coach?
I learned that he knows how to use his phone. We probably communicate, other than my wife, the most of anybody. But when we hired Brian, we knew that he was a collaborator. And for me, I couldn't ask for a better partner just in terms of communication and style, but also belief in what we're trying to do it and going the right way. And he had everybody in the organization, staff and players alike, rowing in the right direction. And I can't tell you how important that really is. In terms of some of his biggest strength, I think the relationships with players. I don't think he's a player's coach. I just think he knows how to have relationships with guys, but also hold them accountable and jump them when he needs to jump them and give them a hug when you need to give them a hug. And for like a first-time coach, that's hard to do. And I think he definitely balanced that. There were times where he had to deal with a lot of injuries and difficult lineups. It was never an excuse. It's we need to play the way we need to play. The standard is the standard, and we raise that bar. And to be able to do that as a first-year coach, I thought was pretty impressive. Some areas where he definitely wants to continue to grow is just making sure we grow the group at the speed we need to grow it at and not skip steps. And he understands that, and he's patient with that. But he pours into every player the same, and that's hard to do, especially as a first-year coach, and I'm very proud of that. He represented the organization very well this year.
And then you talked about the three-point shooting and the shot diet getting a lot better. As a scout and as a scouting group, how much are you looking at trying to draft shooters versus guys that you can develop? Like Alex obviously took a lot of threes this year. You were able to live with some days where a lot of them didn't go in, but you know that's the right play in the long term. So for shooting, is that something you can develop or something that you are looking for actively?
Yeah, I think my philosophy is that's kind of a swing skill. I don't think you can get a guy from bad to great. I think you got to go from good to great or be great your whole life. But you can definitely go from bad to good. And I think shooting is a skill that can be developed. it's definitely on those 94 by 50 when I talk about attributes that we look for, but it's more so the mindset to work and grind. And I think you can improve your shot mechanics. And to be honest, 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗍 is an elite shooter. Corey Kispert, we think, is an elite shooter. Jordan Poole, we think, is an elite shooter. All three are completely different in terms of form. So it's not go get this shot, doctor, everyone shoots the same way. It's reps and being comfortable shooting the ball. Like, I wouldn't teach my son to shoot like Sadiq because he's not going to be that strong to be able to do that. Same difference for Alex. Like, you have to find your shot. So it's more about work and reps, and that's where I feel comfortable that our guys are going to put the time in to become good shooters.
Hi, Will. How are you?
I'm good. Great. How are you?
Good. Earlier in your opening statements, you mentioned that Corey grew into a leader. I think it's a bit of an underrated point. Can you elaborate on what you saw from him from that perspective and just what your expectations are of him going into next season?
Yeah, very proud of Corey because he found his voice in the locker room. Corey has always been someone who leads by example. Off season, in season, always in the gym, but like the way he goes in community, the things he says to the media, like how he conducts himself, you can count on Corey doing the right thing because that's just how he was raised. And this season, when it wasn't going the way we wanted it to go, he didn't sit on his hands. He got in the locker room, he spoke up, he challenged guys, and then he played the right way. And beginning of the season, it was hard for everybody to play with the young group we had and not know the offense. We're putting in a new offense and everybody trying to find their rhythm. To his account, he didn't make shots to the level that he wanted at the beginning of the season, but I think he really figured it out and started to really come up towards the middle of the season. Unfortunately, he got hurt those last 15 games, or I think he would have been right back at his career averages. But to kind of go through that and have the mentality and bring the group together, that's where I saw that leadership from him, and very, very proud of the man he is and how he represents the organization. So we make sure we tell him that.
And then a bit on a personal note, you were recently honored by the Greater Washington Urban League for your leadership with the Wizards and your community impact. So what does it mean to you to receive that honor in such a short time period, especially with the fact that you want this organization to be a beacon in the community?
Yeah, I don't love to talk about myself too much, but that moment was special just because my family got to be here with me and some of the staff members here who support me. I'm very blessed and fortunate to be a part of the DMV community. They've showed me and my family a lot of love, and how can I and my wife not give back to the community if we're expecting our team to do it at such a high level? So it's one of those things you want to be about it. You got to do it yourself, and I have a pretty good relationship with the Urban League and all the great work that they're doing. They're really impacting lives in this city and doing real work. Like, I get to come and organize and play with a team about basketball, like a child's game every single day, when they're dealing with real life. So shout out to them. They're amazing. Definitely was not deserving of the award, but I was very happy to accept it on behalf of the people who support me, and that's my family in this organization. So thank you.
Congratulations on the award. I got a two-part question about Bub Carrington.
You can't always just keep it one or the other. It's always got to be something, bro.
I'll try to be professional. Bub played all 82 games.
Yeah.
Was that baked into the pre-draft evaluation about his durability, and when did it surprise you that he could ultimately play every game?
Trying to answer this way out of like respect for everything he went through this year. Baltimore Bub, like, that's when we knew, when we went and had lunch with him and watched him work out and challenged him pretty aggressively in the workout, and he responded in a way that I was like, there's some moxie to this kid. The all 82 games was important to him. It was important to his family. He's as resilient and as tough as a kid as I've been around in a long time. I've told him in the exit interview the type of kids that I've been around that have played all 82 and went about it the same way. There was one game where he landed on his head, and I thought he was concussed and going to be out for a while. Fortunately, it was just a bruise because he has all that hair. And he came back the very next game. So he's a tough kid, tough-minded. The resiliency that he was able to show dealing with the off-court stuff that he was dealing with towards the end of the season, I don't know how I would handle it, let alone as a 19-year-old kid. And he did so, still bringing joy to the locker room, still bringing energy, and still bringing a fight. He's chippy, he's aggressive, he's about all the right things, and he represented the Wizard logo very well this year. And it is the all 82 that we're proud of, but he was productive while he was doing it too. The only rookie to play all 82, but he's also the only rookie in the league to have 4 rebounds and 4 assists this year. So, like, he's doing it on both sides of the ball without having the ball in his hands a ton. But I think he's still growing in that level. So the basketball took care of itself, but the person who he is and his family, amazing. Happy to have them in our organization.
The second part of the durability is in this era of load management and players and organizations sitting guys. Was it a collaboration between the player, the training staff, and the front office? And when were you, as the GM, comfortable with him playing 82?
Yeah, I think load management is important. I do think it's a real thing. But we have specific measures that our guys have to take every single game to make sure that they're there. He hit him every single game. And if that's the case, we're going to let him play. Weirdly enough, I didn't realize it earlier than he did. So we have those decimal meetings, and we give guys report cards every 10 games on where we're going. I think we got to, like, the meeting in Game 6, and he was like, I'm playing all 82. And I was like, I didn't realize that was a thing. And everybody else in the room was like, yeah, it's a thing. Because he had told people, like, I'm coming. I'm getting better in the training room. I'm adding lean muscle mass during the year. Like, I'm going to finish this. And it was important to his family, too. And they showed up, and they were in the stand and supported him, and all 82 became a thing for him. So when we were kind of having to deal with those injuries and playing 7 players towards the end, he was like, as long as I'm one of the 7, we're good. And he asked, and everyone in the group looked around and said, you got it, buddy. Try to finish it. And he did.
Thank you very much.
Very last thing I do want to say, I've been a hockey fan, like, lightly, but this season, incredible to watch the fans at Capital One Arena. Incredible what the team and the organization have been able to do. Obviously, the chase with the grade 8, like, that was remarkable. Love everything that the Caps have going on. Love how the fan support has supported them. And now that they're going into the playoff series against Montreal, like, we're looking forward to supporting them. And I want to make sure that we say all Caps, everybody, let's support them. Appreciate you guys.